With 10 minutes of their match to go, Ipswich were a goal down, a man down, and Mother Nature intervened. Join us as we make sense of a chaotic afternoon in Blackburn here on Blue Monday, an Ipswich Town podcast. In the spirit of chaos and mixing things up, I am not Benjamin Bloom, but I am joined by the usual wise men of Dave Diamond and Joe Fairs. Do you like our, for those listening on podcast, we've flipped the branding to match the third kit. Do you want to get an immediate reaction on that, Dave? Your thoughts on the blue and black kit?
Yeah, absolutely took me by surprise. Sort of bit of a double take. Yeah, nice, I think. Yeah, I mean, it didn't go like, I don't think, like the Castori kit and disintegrate in the wet or anything like that. Obviously, other brands are available. But it was, yeah, I thought I mean, I'm not really into kits, but yeah, decent, look good.
It got
like the numbering, like the lettering stuff.
Yeah, and the MSC logo on the back. Proper stress test for it, Joe, wasn't it, in the conditions? What's your take?
Yeah, and last time we tried to do a secret launch of a third kit was Rotherham away on the Friday night, and that game was called off because of the rain on the day of the game, and this time it's called off during the game. So we got a little bit further with it. Not ideal, but yeah, I like the kit. I like parts of it. I think what makes it is the sort of the blue lettering, as Dave mentioned. All the blue features makes it it's just that two-tone grey blue. I think if you'd have had that with just white numbering, I think it'd have looked not great. But no, I liked it. But I think all the training kit around it and everything looked good, even though that is not competitively priced.
No, and the training wear also quite eye-watering as well. But there will be sales throughout the year, I'm sure. I had a moment like Michael was here mentioning, is this a sliding doors moment? I assume the importance of the game in the course of our season. I had a sliding doors moment where the club, to their credit, were giving out the shirt, signed versions of the shirt in the kind of drawstring bag that had somehow leaked a few weeks or months ago to kind of give away the spoilers. And Andy Warren was one of the people doling these shirts out. He walked up the stairs towards me. I thought, is this my moment? And he took one look at me and veered away. It's like, you don't deserve one of these. So I missed out on a Nunez signed third shirt, but I'll forgive you, Andy. It's fine. But yeah, there were people holding them up and wearing them and putting them on. So
wow.
Good way to release it, and as I said, kind of making light of the drawstring bag that everyone saw there.
Seen a few on socials today. One of my youngest classmates has managed to get the Alex Palmer one, but I think that was the worn one from the game. So I don't know how wet that was. Yeah, so yeah, we're all very jealous.
Yeah, well, so in terms of an agenda, we will try and go the full hour here, but we might stop from 10 minutes before the end, perhaps, and just not tell you and just leave it running and see what happens. But we've got a big agenda, including the first points for ITFC women at WSL2 level FPL Tractor split household there. So household of Charlton fans and Ipswich fans there. So a nice draw to make sure that everyone's goes into the week happy. But we'll try and deal with the game and try and understand what we can from the fixture itself. Not much is probably the headline, but worth talking about it. And then we'll get our heads around the abandonment and what it means. What's next? I think we're pretty certain as the Jacob Greaves red card stands. So I think that's the only bit of controversy there. But it's worth talking about a little bit of history of Blackburn. I'm sure the guys here are going to tell us, and do tell us in the chat as well. Have you been at an abandoned match, a postponed game? It's kicked off. I can only remember Borough, and we were talking about it just before we came on air. I remember the Borough one and the rearrangement. We won 4-0 with Terry Connor in the dugout, and that was the biggest winning margin in the Mick era, I think.
I think that was a different season. That
was it different?
There's definitely a frozen. That was on Saturday, that game, wasn't it? I think it was. I think we drew 1-1 in the rearranged game. It was.
Okay. I thought. Confirm in the chat. Let us know. Show us you're working, but we will definitely talk through that. But let's deal with the game itself. So I'm subbing in because I was there on Saturday in Blackburn, and if there's Blackburn fans listening, like no place in England is a kind of glorious, lovely place, but raining in the north is kind of a very special kind of thing, and it was grim. Let's put it that way. It's grim up north. They didn't let us in the pubs either. They were very arsy about colours and badges and all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't a great start. Thank you to Seb for driving in his truck, by the way, which was probably essential for getting us home. But the guys, probably the headline going in is an unchanged lineup from the Sheffield United 5-0 victory. And I guess probably, Dave, no surprises, really.
No, everybody fit, clean bill of health, other than, as we understand, just Wes Burns now. So, yeah, no surprise, really. I think there was one change, which was Ashley Young on the bench for Ben Johnson, I believe. That was it. Yeah, I mean, everybody fit, team really picked itself, didn't it?
Yep. Do you want to draw any conclusions or suggestions on Ashley Young and Ben Johnson, that switcheroo? Is Ben Johnson feels like he might be third or fourth choice fullback now.
He's properly out of favour, isn't he? He really is. I mean, to be fair, when Ashley Young has played, he's been one of our better players, more consistent players when he's played so far. The minutes he's played this season, he's played really well. Obviously, despite his lengthening years. But yeah, Ben Johnson seems very, very well down the pecking order now. It'll be interesting to see, well, what happens come the next transfer window. But there's certainly a lot of cover there. And I think Ben Johnson's perhaps around for maybe cover for potentially for Leif Davis at left back, potentially with the injury to Connor Townsend. So yeah, I would say a surprising one. Yes and no surprise really. Ashley Young came back in, I don't think.
No. Joe, any thoughts on the Town lineup? No surprises, as we say.
No, you don't change your team if you win 5-0, do you, if you can help it?
Yep. And in terms of Blackburn, probably the headlines, there's some names there. I'm trying to remember what the guys on pre-match were talking about, but the captain, I think I was surprised to see him captain. Todd Cantwell, more on him later. The return of Wharton as well. That's a big boost for them. I think there was a late change. I think Tavares ended up getting injured in the one-up and was replaced by Gardner Hickman, wasn't he? But another name, Joe, making us all feel the son of Ida Johnson, Andre Johnson on the bench. What is it about strikers and their sons going into the game?
Yeah, because I wonder how their career overlapped as well. Because I know Ida Johnson made his Iceland debut coming on as a sub for his father. So I wonder whether they did the same thing later down the line. Probably not, or we'd have heard about it, I guess. But yeah, whether they played together for Iceland at all.
Ida Johnson was a player, wasn't he?
Well, they were chatting him in the pre. Like, I'm pretty certain we were linked with him before he went to Chelsea in our promotion season when he was still at Bolton, and obviously you can't really compete with Chelsea. And then Seb was suggesting there was another possible link on the card.
Jensen was it?
Well, it was Klaus Jensen. I think.
Yeah, Klaus Jensen.
Do you remember this one, Joe? Seb was saying we were linked with a loan move, possibly for him in the season after when he was at Chelsea.
I don't remember that one.
No, I don't remember that.
He missed the playoff semi-final at Portman Road, didn't he?
He did.
Fortunate.
He scored a great goal in the first game, didn't he? Great goal.
Yes, they talked about that on Thursday. So Todd Cantwell, we were expecting lots of, and he was very busy in the first half, but apart from a few shots over the bar, little bit gravitationally challenged, shall we say? More on that later. It was fairly comfortable. Joe, would you say that Town shaded it first half?
Yeah, the first 6 or 7 minutes was just 4 or 5 long throws into the box, wasn't it? It was all it was. And one of them, Palmer, sort of flicked over the bar when it bounced up. I don't know if Wharton was, I don't know whether he even got a touch on that header, but sort of Palmer jumped up and pushed it over the bar. But I thought we created some decent chances. I think McAteer got away down the right and sort of did a nice little sort of reverse ball sort of behind the line to Philogene, and he struck it well, but sort of straight at the keeper. We had another one where Leif Davis breaks into the box, has a sort of shifts it back into his left, and the keeper makes a good save. Then Matasiwa ends up just sort of slicing it slightly when aiming for the top corner. But yeah, it's not a classic, is it?
No. And interesting to see Leif Davis really inverted, really leaving space for Philogene. Dave, that combination, we were hoping obviously Philogene would pick up where he left off on from last Friday. Maybe tricky to do it in that circumstance, but interesting to see how Davis's role was somewhat changed.
Yeah, I thought he was a lot more prominent. And that chance Joe mentioned, he's got to hit that with his right foot. It's weird. Obviously he's predominantly left-footed, but he's done brilliant to get it there. He's sort of got inside, dropped his shoulder, got inside, and that just screams out for a right-footed shot. A la Jaden Philogene in the far corner, doesn't it? But works it back on the left. Quite a good save. Hurst also has a good chance, doesn't he? Played in by O'Shea, and he gets round the side. Doesn't do a lot wrong there. I think it's a pretty good save, that. I suppose he could have been a bit more delicate with it or chip, but he does everything pretty much right. It's a good save. Thought their keeper was quite decent, actually.
Yeah.
Davis was really prominent right throughout, I thought.
I thought. I mean, in the end, you can't begrudge Hurst having a shot from that's
Oh,
quite
not
a
at all.
tight angle, isn't it? But I wonder where maybe the choice is to square it back across for someone, perhaps. But that's the only thing I could think of.
A striker's not going to square.
I don't know.
it there,
I don't think anyone had gone with him. To be fair,
No, I don't think so. He's not going to
Fair
square
enough.
it there. Good save.
Yeah. Did anyone else stand out for you first half? As I said, I mean, we'll talk about the second in more detail because there's more incident there. But I generally felt we were the better of the two teams and generally had good control of it. There are a few moments you mentioned a couple of saves for Palmer, but other than that, go on, Dave.
Sorry, saved by Palmer. I mean, the one which was a decent save in the end was from Morishita, but again, that was from us playing out from the back. O'Shea plays out from the back and loses possession there. So they didn't really, other than Joe's quite rightly said, they sort of tried to throw long throws in our box for the first 5-10 minutes when we dealt with them really comfortably. So I think on chances, I think we certainly had the better of the first half.
And Joe, did you get any sense of foreboding from watching the action play out in the first half? There was a couple of bits in the centre of the pitch, maybe down, I guess we were attacking down the right-hand side first half, down that side, perhaps where McAteer was, but it didn't look too bad first half, did it?
No, but you could see it was holding up in certain areas, especially from sort of like the width of the centre circle in the end we were attacking in the first half, because anytime sort of could just try to dribble with the ball, he just couldn't get it out of his feet a couple of times, and it's sort of that whole middle of the pitch, and sort of O'Shea passes one out from the back. Matasi was is a little bit caught in no man's land a couple of times waiting for the ball because it's holding up and not getting to him. So there were signs it was really struggling during the first half, especially down the middle. And you look back at the photos the club would tweeted out and Instagrammed early in the game, like that one before the game, but also
before the game. Look at
when the players are in action, and I think that's just a paddle, but when the players are in action, every time they step, there's just water spraying up on every step down that middle of the pitch in particular, and it just wasn't. And obviously, you could see the rain was falling, and it just wasn't getting better.
No,
Rich, was it just? I mean, obviously, we'd watched it on Town TV, me and Joe, I think. But at the game, was the rain just persistent, same level right throughout the game? Didn't really ease off.
No. So interestingly, maybe an hour before kickoff, it was pretty chunky and rained for about an hour. But I mean, it had been raining on and off all day. So up to that point. Actually, when the first half started, it became quite drizzly, and then the wind started to gust it around a little bit. But it was okay. It was like drizzle rather than hardcore rain. And then as the first half wore on, and you got to second and half time, that's when it started to just become relentlessly consistent, heavy rain. And I don't think there was any attempt to mitigate the drainage situation at halftime, because they put this big tarpaulin, and it might have helped actually on the centre circle to do their kind of halftime contest. But the rain just from that point on, David, just was solid and constant and did not let up at all. And
the ref, all the officials, coming out for the second half didn't check it then at all. Just got straight on with it.
I mean, there were rumours on socials of a pitch inspection prior to the game, and that probably would have just been, if anything, like the normal visual inspection they do. But I think probably the alarm bells are obviously ring because there was the yellow weather warning in that part of the world. But I don't think any of us were expecting it just to stay as heavy as it did, and it stayed heavy like that till about 6-7 o'clock maybe that evening. We drove back through Manchester to drop off Mullet, actually, who I sat with during the day, and the roads in Altrincham where it was flooded everywhere. The M6 was it was bad everywhere. But as folk have said in the chat, I think Salford's game continued, Burnley's game continued.
Surely, I think non-league, surely.
So
every ground is different, isn't it, with regards to drainage and how it gets off? Because I was at Swansea in the Championship season a couple of years ago, and that rain there was as bad as I've ever seen and been in the whole day, the whole game. But the pitch never really held up in that. The pitch seemed to go. The water could get away. But I think some people have put it up on the screen, haven't they, that similar to Rotherham a couple of years ago, that if the ground drains into the river, if the river's burst its banks or is at the table of it, the water table of it is too high, the water's got nowhere to go, so it just backs up, doesn't it?
Yeah, and we'll talk about the abandonment more specifically in a bit as well, because it's not the first time that's happened at Ewood Park in recent years. But the second half resumes, nevertheless, chaps, and it kind of the ball is starting to slow up, and maybe you can argue there's a factor there. But Dave, what's Jacob Greaves doing for this red card? Because I'm the other end of the field and I'm trying to understand it.
I mean, you look back at it and you think, well, is there mitigating that? I'm not really sure there is. It's just a hoof, isn't it? It's just a hoof over the top, and he just gets caught under the ball, doesn't he? Really? And it's I think it's Morishita, isn't it? Gets a run on him, and yeah, there's a hand. And what makes it worse? There is a hand. His hand is on the back of Morishita, and as he does that, he loses his foot and he goes, and it's so obvious, an obvious one, you know. Yes, I say mitigation. You'd think there is some sort of mitigating circumstances there, given the surface, but yeah, he's last man there. It's a long way. To be fair, it's a long way out though. What, it's 35 yards out, probably 35 yards out, but yeah, I mean. There wasn't too many complaints, were there? I mean, he just gave the ref a look, didn't he? But there weren't really too many. Perhaps he just wanted to get off and have a shower, to be fair. But there weren't really too many complaints. But yeah, just summed it up, really. Summed up the day, didn't it? Really.
Anything to add, Joe, on that one?
It's just one of those, isn't it? He's ahead of them when the ball goes over, and then it's almost like he hesitates for a second and it allows the attacker to get in front of him. And it's very, very difficult when you're a defender in that position because the striker just runs across you, slows themselves down, turns their body into like limp mode. So as soon as there's any contact, because if they're chasing the ball down into the corner flag and Greaves puts his arm on his shoulder, he's not going to go down because that's not what sends him down. So, but that's it's how the game is played. It's how we would play when we're ahead. But he'd put himself in an awful position, and
yeah,
I don't know what can you do when you do that. You just have to sort of almost let them have another yard to get in front of you before you then try and get back and do anything and try and just rely on your goalkeeper. But I think at that stage of the game, you've just got to let them go at that stage of the game, don't you?
To be fair, he could have carried the ball the edge of the box, and the ball would have probably got stuck in a puddle.
Well, exactly. He's
a caught up with him.
Way to go, isn't he? I mean, it's kind of like, you know,
if it's the 89th minute, maybe you do it. 85th minute, take it down. But 49th or whatever it was.
No, and a few people were mentioning, thankfully for Jack Clark, he's not on the pitch and is therefore the sacrificial lamb for the substitution. Keep comes on though. It's Akpom that's withdrawn. I thought
I don't know Jack Clark would have survived in sort of with his normal shorts in that.
Oh, well, he came on, didn't he?
Mate, he was one of our better players. I thought he was really good when he came on.
He skated, then he came out for the kind of, there's a post-match kind of clap for the fans. He's wearing flip-flops and socks, and he comes onto the pitch and completely forgets it's waterlogged and has to kind of like goose step it out of there. But yes, Keep comes on. More on him in a second as well. But it goes from bad to worse, really, and we're playing okay, but there are just these lapses, guys. And this time, it is O'Shea at fault in kind of the build up to this, Joe.
Yeah, well, they take the goal kick short, and I think this is maybe a lesson which we may have learned the easy way yesterday rather than the hard way, because it gave away a penalty, but it looks like we've got away with it too, or it looks like we will get away with it, but. Yeah, O'Shea sort of tries to pass the ball into Matasiwa, but it's not a good pass. And obviously, because of the conditions, Matasiwa can't turn and get across there. It's sort of he has to sort of get himself adjusted. And the ball just goes straight back in, finds its way to Cantwell. Furlong is trying to get himself back in position, but I guess the conditions come into this. And then he just sort of, Cantwell does just stop, but Furlong does. It looks like he just stands on his leg as he comes across, causing him to lose his balance, and it's a bit of a mess. Again, it's another one that if Cantwell wanted to go and get the ball, he could go on and got the ball and avoided the contact, but he didn't. It's a penalty. It's frustrating, but yeah, the condition they were not the conditions to play those passes out when Blackburn had 4 men up. You just didn't need to work it through them. We were getting through them with relative ease once we were getting to the flanks, other than conditions like Jack Clark or people trying to get away and the ball slowing down and getting there. We needed to play the percentages a bit more and try and play the game in their half rather than our half.
You're going to dispute any aspect of the penalty award, Dave?
I don't think so. I haven't. The only thing I'd say, I don't know, has anyone seen it from a different angle? I've only seen it from Town TV, which was sort of straight on. I haven't seen it from any other angle. It looks an odd one, but yeah,
quite
I think Joe.
soft.
I think
the highlights on his shirt from that same angle.
Yeah, Joe's right. Clever from Campbell. He just stops there, inviting it, and yeah, Furlong comes flying and can't. Obviously, the conditions he can't stop, and there's contact, and down he goes. So yeah, I think. Had it been the other way, he would have been shouting for it. So
yeah, and it was always going to be him as well. And to his credit, in the conditions. I wonder whether the conditions might play a part with. I was thinking John Terry in the Champions League, perhaps, but no such luck. He dispatches it into the side net, doesn't he?
At least Alex Palmer does go the right way, and he nearly kind of gets a hand to him. It's a good penalty. It's a well struck penalty in the corner. Again, you only see it. I haven't really seen it from square on. At least for once, Alex Palmer does go the right way rather than sort of premeditate and dive in the wrong way. But yeah, it's a good penalty in that stage. It's then after then it just starts to get fast, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the conditions start to. Joe, you look like you want to come in with something there.
Well, I think it was that sort of the 5 or so minutes leading up to the penalty. It had gone really at that stage. Yeah. The ref needed to call it at that point because as soon as there's a goal scored, it makes it really, really difficult to call it because it gets to the stage where you can make the right decision. And then once it's 1-0, you have to make it until it is impossible to carry on. Rather than making just the correct decision, you have to make the decision where it is like there is no argument from either side. It has to be done at this point.
And I guess we'll kind of talk about the kind of broader picture around this. Is there something to be said for how we approached the conditions at that point? We kind of talked twice of failures, kind of at the back line there, maybe taking risks, not taking acknowledging the situation. You know, you talked about playing the percentages, Joe. Is that? I know that the game was just going to become a farce pretty much after this point onwards, but at the time, could we have done anything better here, Dave, and just managed it better?
I think there is, especially as by that time we'd got Smodics. Smodics had then come on. I think there was a thing for just getting the ball and just hitting the channels. Really, I know. Again, the pitch was wet all over. You could say it was, it was perhaps worse out wide. I don't know, but it was. I think there is a case for that. Look, get it out. If you get it to the fullback. If he plays it short to fullback, just hit the channel. Don't bother playing inside. It's not how we play, but I think yesterday more than anything, there was certainly cause for that yesterday. I'd have said.
And were you disappointed, like me, to see the lack of shooting from around the penalty box as well, around the 18-yard box?
Yeah, I think there was just the one, which was Joe mentioned, which was the Philogene one in the first half. I really can't remember any shots at all from outside the box, other than that, really.
Yeah,
Matasiwa, that was kind of in the box, wasn't it? The one he puts wide of the upright. So, yeah, but do we really work those positions to create those positions yesterday? I'm not sure we did. I can't remember watching it where, you're looking at someone 20, 25 yards out and you say, yeah, get it out of your feet and have a go. I can't really remember that. Again, it was that low block again from them. And, we were slightly better yesterday. And even after they scored, Davis got in a couple of times, didn't he? One brilliant ball across the ball where I think it's Azot just didn't. I think it was Azot who was on, but I don't think it was Hurst. I can't remember. Maybe Smodics, I think, just couldn't quite get on the end of it. So we were still creating chances then, but yeah, I can't remember any opportunities really to have a shot from outside the box. Any obvious ones?
Right. It's futile now, Joe, to speculate on these moments, but nevertheless, Blackburn will be very specific and absolute about the red card and the penalty. I think there are 2 penalty shouts for us towards the latter stages of the half. I think there's a
Leif Davis.
One on Davis.
And Azon is pushed in the back trying to get one of those Leif Davis sweeping crosses.
That's the one I was thinking of. It was Azon, yeah. And it goes out.
Is shout for those or?
Well, the Azon one, I didn't think the Azon one was. I thought that was just he was just sort of eased past it, and the ball. He wasn't really close enough for the ball for it to matter. I think it's one of those ones that if it gets given, it's probably quite a harsh one there. But the Leif Davis one, I didn't see it back, but that looks similar. He sort of gets himself into a good position in front of someone, and they sort of chop around him. But I haven't seen that one back.
Good run though, wasn't it? Took it.
Yeah. Leif. I thought Leif was excellent yesterday, getting forward, coming inside. And like I say, I think considering what the conditions were like, I think we played some really nice stuff at times. I think we got ourselves into a bit of trouble as well in the way we played it, and maybe didn't play the conditions as well as we could. But if you think the move where we got it out for Philogene shot in the first half, the move for Davis and subsequently Matasi was shot in that half, the ball into Hurst, the run down the left and sort of Clark and Davis combining to put it across where Smodics very nearly got the touch. Davis's run into the box, the ones that led to the cross. There's probably 7 or 8 good phases of football in there on a really, really tough pitch in really, really tough conditions that we managed. And you sort of think, I think people will maybe see it, oh, you beat Sheffield, or we, or you, whichever side you're looking at from, beat Sheffield United 5-0 on that Friday night. Was that a false dawn? And you go to Blackburn and you're losing 1-0 and get get away with one. But I think if you actually sort of look at the game and watch it back, I've not been able to watch it back yet. There's some really good phases of play in there, and Blackburn really had nothing. Their only shot all they had in the first half was 5 long throws into the box, and then a shot from 25 yards, which Palmer comfortably saves after we gave them the ball. That's all that they had until a sort of lapse from Greaves, and you're down to 10 men, and that's about it. And I think we've said that before. It's sort of we've played well in games, and sort of we've made one mistake at the back, and all of a sudden the ball's in the back of the net, or a penalty's given away, or a red card now is given, and it's frustrating that we're making those changes. So we're being punished like that for minor issues. But I think there was more positives than negatives actually with our play yesterday. But I think that'll just all be lost in the wash, really.
Yeah, and we'll end up being accused of all sorts by opposition supporters perhaps around this. Well, let's get to this point of the abandonment then. It was very clear very quickly at about 60 minutes or so that the pitch was having a massive impact. And there's the Keep Ray challenge where he seems to slide across the whole length of the field. That's a yellow card. And then there is certainly, I think the moment it dawns on the referee perhaps is where we break, don't we? I think they lose the ball trying to go forward. Jack Clark intercepts it, takes it forward, and then the pitch grabs the ball off him too. And I think that's the moment the referee realizes, crap, I've got to do something about this.
Well, doesn't he? His transmitter packs in as well. That packs up at the same time.
Yeah, I think twice that happened.
I think
was it clear for you guys? It certainly. I think there was a growing sentiment, and it's difficult to know how much of that sentiment was we could play here and not score and lose this 1-0. So an abandonment is better than nothing. But it got to a really fast score state, didn't it? Pretty quickly, and the referee had no real choice, did he, Joe?
No, and it was, like I said, those things you mentioned where I think it's Campwell, the ball's going to him and it just doesn't get there and he slips. Jack Clark nips and intercepts it, runs 10 yards up the pitch, and all of a sudden the ball stops and he runs 5 yards past it, has to go back and get the ball to carry on his run, and just got, I think, one through the middle. He tries to run through the middle and the ball just stops dead. And then it was Keep Ray when he passes the ball out to Furlong at right back, and the ball literally just stops halfway on the way there, stops dead. And it was, like I say, it was a farce. Until that Jack Clark one went down the line, I was just watching thinking this game shouldn't be carrying on, but it will carry on.
Oxford,
I don't really know what to do. And then that time when Clark ran down the line and he lost it, it's like I was then at that stage where I was getting stressed and frustrated with it. Like, this has got to end because the game is not happening correctly and the pitch is so bad. And then when Keep Ray passed that out to Furlong, it's instantly that from that point the ref was like, okay, we're going to have to do something here, because it's just from that point he'd been off getting his electric sorted from there. And like I say, when we talk at the game was at 79 minutes, there'd been a massive delay around the red card, a massive delay around the penalty, a huge delay sorting out his pack. There was going to be about 10 odd minutes, so it wasn't like there was 10 minutes left. There must be 20 minutes left at that stage, and it was only getting worse. But I'd say if I'm a Blackburn fan, I'm gutted and peed off that it's happened, because they're sort of working their way to a victory. I'm
First
sure
one of the season at home, I think.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll say they worked the conditions better than us and were fully deserving of it, whether we agree with that or not. I don't personally that they were full value for the victory or anything like that. But
it's a penalty as well, Joe, isn't it? It's not like they forced chances, meaningful chances from open play and broke through us, did they?
And like I say, it was just chaotic. There was so much going on. But yeah, like I say, if I'm a Blackburn fan here, I'm on the other side. I can fully admit we were lucky that we've got in this situation, because as far as I'm concerned, the game will be replayed in full at another time. I don't see any other alternative for that. I know Alan Nixon is sort of doing Blackburn's bidding for them in public, as he did through the whole Sam Smodics transfer saga, and saying that they want to either play the last 10 minutes or
I've never known
we have to play with 10 minutes. It just isn't going to happen. It is going to be replayed in full, and that's the only thing that can happen.
Yeah, that's unprecedented. That's never. I don't think that's ever happened in an EFL English Football League history that's happened.
Not in a game of
I can't believe it.
Football in England, no.
No way, no chance. No, of course it'll be replayed.
Yeah, and well, we can talk about Blackburn's pitch issues. I think we already have done that, but I think in that situation, Dave, as well, it feels to me, and maybe it's a throwaway point here, it's much easier for the home team to think about how to cope with this situation. It's a home pitch that you know anyway, but you're not having to get on the bus at the end of this, and I think there's a bit of human psychology that comes into situations like this. And obviously the pitch was totally unplayable. I get that. But even in the second half, when it was starting to deteriorate, I think it's easier for Blackburn to get their heads around it, or am I just clutching here?
Well, of course, no. I think you're right. I think you're exactly right. And from what I understand, didn't they have a big pitch renovation there 2 years ago? I believe it. Well, I think I read somewhere in 23. I believe it's what I read. They had a big old pitch renovation in 23, and they were supposed to deal with this problem. I think it was, Joe would know more, storage tanks or something under the pitch to collect this water when the water table rises for days like yesterday. They didn't do it. So I say some ways it's down to them. Christ, it's Mother Nature, isn't it? But yeah, that game probably, say hindsight, should never have gone ahead. Surely they should have looked at the Met Office, for God's sake, knowing the problems they've had with the pitch previously, and the game probably should have been called off. With hindsight, the I don't know what the weather was like the evening before. Should have been called off the evening before, probably.
The annoying thing, Dave, the evening before it was 22 degrees. It was lovely.
We had 25 in Ipswich. I mean, Ipswich on Friday was bloody back to summer, wasn't it?
But you're right.
It's just one of those things.
I think it's annoying that there wasn't I think I was going to the game thinking, well, it's just a bit of rain. I wasn't really aware of Blackburn's history with pitch issues and all that kind of stuff. I kind of think, in 2025, if you can't get a game of football staged because it's raining heavily, and look, 99% of the rest of the EFL program went ahead, didn't it? 99.9% almost. So in that respect, there's got to be some eyes on Blackburn. There was a postponement in 2021. There was a postponement in November last year, actually, against Portsmouth. So I think if I'm the EFL and I'm hearing the cases of the two sides, which we'll maybe come on to in a second, I think you've got to factor that in there too. But I think the biggest frustration for me, Dave, you talked about the weather forecast. I'm there on my weather app at about 70 minutes looking at it and going, well, the bar for rain is getting bigger and it's pushing further and further out into the evening. So what is going to change? And the referee, to his credit, eventually calls the game off, probably 10, 20, 30 minutes, maybe too late. But then he takes the players off. No one knows what's going on apart from there's an announcement saying the match is not abandoned, stay in your seats. He's done always from Yorkshire. My Blackburn accent's not working for me.
Close.
I didn't want to do it. I get comments, Dave. I don't want to get comments. But stay in your seats. And then we heard nothing. And then the referee comes out and does this utterly meaningless pitch inspection.
It was all really weird because no one had gone to the dressing room. Everybody was just congregating in the tunnel. Even, it was quite comical. And then Mark Ashton was there, and no one really knew what was going on. All the players were there in the tunnel, or seemingly, just waiting for a decision. And it just, as you said, it took we're watching on Town TV, the screen just freezes, kind of thing, and it says sort of suspended, and that was it. We didn't hear anything. Just totally bizarre. Totally bizarre.
And then Joe, the referee comes out and at least he proves it confirms the decision's right.
That's
why it's taken half an hour, because it's only going to get worse after that point as well. There's the roll, there's the drop, and every time there's the away end.
It was like dropping an egg in a pan, wasn't it?
It was. And then that happened, and then they all go back in, and we expect an announcement imminently. Nothing at all, and then another 5-10 minutes, and then suddenly the Ipswich players come on the pitch in their training wear. It's like, oh, okay, is it off? And then there's a tweet from Blackburn's account that the game's abandoned, and then they announce it in the stadium. It was utter farce, and you just kind of think, well, we've wasted half an hour there, and actually, from a serious personal safety standpoint, the roads were just getting worse and worse in the area. You could have let people leave. Blackburn fans were getting out pretty quickly in their droves. They saw the iceberg. No, they saw the flood. I don't know. They were getting out of there. The away support, who's 4,000 of them, in fine voice, by the way, in this half an hour period, have no idea. But they're the ones who have got to travel, 300, 400 miles to get home in grotty conditions. I just thought, the reason I'm partly here instead of Bennett, so I can moan about that, because I thought that was pretty bad actually on behalf of the match officials, but Blackburn Rovers as well. It was obvious that the situation was untenable to drag it out for another 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever it was, I think was just really poor.
Did you drive back to Ipswich last night or not?
I did, yeah. Well, I went by.
So where did the rain kind of stop?
So it was the whole of so the yellow. I mean, the fair play to the Met Office. Like I know someone said you can't call off a match ahead of things because the forecast might be wrong. The yellow warning was put out Friday, wasn't it? And I think it had kind of North Wales round through to northwest and up into the north of the country, and basically it just swirled through Manchester and up into kind of Newcastle area, and it was relentless. It was a horrible drive home. There would have been people who were leaving the ground much quicker than I did, who would have been experiencing it worse. Because I managed to find a route through Wales that took me a little bit better, but it was chaos in that part of the world. And I just kind of felt like there's a point where personal safety of the supporters needs to be factored into, and dragging the decision out, which was utterly futile.
Let's hope that the club, as I know they have done before in kind of circumstances, I think just do something for certainly the away, certainly the people that travelled on the away buses and stuff like that. You'd think the club for the rearranged game, fingers crossed, but I'm sure it will be. We'll sort something out for the fans, hopefully.
Yeah. And before we hear from our friends at Atwells, I've got the most important question of the day. I'll put it to both of you. I was ticking off Ewood Park from my 92 yesterday. I've not done it before. Does that count? Yes or no?
Oh, Joe, I'll leave this to Joe because Joe's done more than me. Come on.
Personally, I say yes. I think I think if you were to look at the official rules, it wouldn't count, but it doesn't count if it's a pre-season friendly or a non-first team official match, or if a team gets relegated out of the league and comes back into it, it doesn't count. So I've been to Barnet's ground in a pre-season friendly a few years ago. Well, I'll count that, but apparently that shouldn't count because when they came into the league, to do it again. But no, I think you've done Ewood Park now, Rich. So you take that one off.
Taking it
because people would go to that game and leave at 75 minutes and tick it off, and the game finishes and they think it's okay. So
correct answer. Thank you, Joe. I knew I could rely on you.
Agreed.
Thank you, Dave.
Seconded.
Well slopey shoulder there. Thank you to Atwells for their support this season. Let's hear all about them.
Blue Monday is brought to you in partnership with Atwell Solicitors, your ideal legal partner for property and business law. Whether you're buying a home, starting a business, or just need legal guidance, our dedicated team has got you covered. Trust our award-winning customer service team to handle your legal matters with care and expertise. Find out more at atwells.com or visit us at our offices in Ipswich, Colchester, London, and our new location in Woodbridge.
Thank you to Atwells for their support of the channel this season. And the post-mortem on whether I can count the 92 ground tick-off is going, well, I've got yes. Yeah, good, there we go. But then Burwellian here, I'd say yes, but Footmob says no, the match has vanished off there. It no longer exists. So yeah, I've got a yes from Jem. And yes, we're going to get some free Halo printed umbrellas. There you go. Well, I think the club can be creative about that one, can't we?
I think Andy Farrow's comment is the best there.
Where's that?
If Greaves' red still counts, so does your visit.
There
we go.
There you go. I'll stick with that logic. That is sound.
Yeah,
Andy, thank you for that comment. Appreciate you. Let's put a full stop on the Blackburn chat then. So we're thinking, guys, definitely replayed in full. It would be a shock if would it be a precedent if it's 10 minutes replayed? It would be pointless. The costs for doing that are just stupid, aren't they, for us? So it's got to be replayed in full. But Greaves setting off, we've got full confirmation that will stand, which means he misses Portsmouth, doesn't he? So Joe, sorry, I'll come to Dave on this one. That he'll be replayed in full. And when would you want it? Is this going to happen in a cold Tuesday night in January? Might this backfire?
Well, it's going to be a Tuesday night it's no doubt at some point. So yeah, look, I think if it is, I think it gets us, more together, more time for us to gel. I didn't think we played particularly well yesterday. I thought we had the better of it, certainly, as Joe said, the more clearer cut chances. But it gives us more time as a side to perhaps get on a run and then play the game. Having said that, it'll probably be Tuesday week or something. But anyway, there you go.
Yeah, might we have to wait for a cup? The FA Cup and going out of that on something like that.
Well, I think the EFL Cup. I was just looking to see what the schedule, the Carabao Cup, we're both out of that. So I think the fourth round week of that is the October, that 28th, that sort of range. So
half term week,
probably makes sense to do it that weekend if it does. But like I said, I don't know. when it is. I'm pretty sure I think it's that weekend. But yeah, because the third round of the EFL Cup is this midweek, so that would have been a obvious one. But it's obviously too quick to get there. So yeah, I'd imagine the fourth round of the EFL Cup will be the time to get that one done.
Cool. Okay. Well, we will wait and see. I think there's an announcement expected. I think Stuart Watson was speculating maybe Tuesday or Wednesday there. And as AD mentioned, I think the Ipswich Town fans probably got what they wanted out of that, albeit 4,000 long trips home to various places around the country was not fun last night. Before we talk about the roundup, need to mention a few bits and pieces of business. I think we will probably not do a Beyond the Score line tomorrow for those of you who have got top tier membership. That's our usual Monday show. So apologies for that. We'll try and find something else to fit the gap. Maybe we'll do an extra blog or another rewind or an ITFC women's show or something like that to fill the gap. But the guys for weekend preview will be back on Friday. Head of Portsmouth, we'll do the usual shows, pre-match live with Seb and I Thursday night, and then the Flagship, Ben, and I expect Dave and Joe will return the Holy Trinity next Sunday to talk about that one. And apart from that, live event, I've got a bit of promo here. There's a QR code if you want to buy tickets. Tickets selling really well. Thank you to everyone who's got involved early doors. We've got some announcements that we need to make at some point in the next few weeks. But if you want to join us after the West Brom game on the 25th of October, the early kickoff, we've got access to the Sir Bobby Robson suite from about 4:30, and come and join us for a chat about that game, competitions, games, and just the usual kind of fun chat, and good to be communal with each other as well, and just have a bit of a knees up, have a drink and a chat about football. So come and join us on the 25th of October. It will be great to see you there. And if you are watching on YouTube, use the QR code there to take you straight to the ticket purchasing website. In terms of other bits and pieces, before we do the roundup for the championship, ITFC women, shout out to Joe Sheehan and the girls. Really resilient, hard-fought draw away at Charlton today. Mentioned at the start by FPL Tractor. Really tough division, WSL2. A lot of established teams, fully pro, been up there for years. Charlton have started the season with 2 wins out of 2, finished 3rd or 4th, I think, last season, Dave. And I don't know if you managed to catch any of it today, but
I must admit, hands up, I forgot about it. Then I looked in the chat, and there was obviously chat about it. So I did watch the last 10 minutes.
Dug in, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They did. I think, no, I might have been listening. Didn't you say, I think you commented there was a late shout for a penalty?
Couple of,
I must have joined it just after then, because for the last 7-8 minutes I saw, defended really well. Didn't look like we were really holding on. They really weren't threatening too much, really. Dealt with everything really well. How did we play right the way through? Did we have any chances? Or?
Yeah, but the first half was really excellent. I mean, we're still lacking that kind of out-and-out goal threat. There was a couple of moments, good ball in from Peskett to Dean, who couldn't really swivel and turn and get a shot away. So we're lacking that goal threat, and Joe Sheehan talked about that post-match. But the fact that we were defensively resilient, kept the clean sheet, which is really important because we have shipped some really poor goals, particularly from set pieces, and Charlton had plenty of those today. And to keep a clean sheet at Charlton after the start they've had, we've got some real injury issues at the moment. Lucy O'Brien and Kyra Robertson both missing today.
Central midfield is a real
it's an area where we've, in theory, Joe, we've got lots of strength and depth, haven't we? But at the moment, he's playing Leah Mitchell, notionally out of position. Had a really great game, by the way. And Bethan Rowe, who's never really played central midfield in her career either, but both were excellent today. So Bo's really well. Just got to build from there and get the goals.
And what I would say, I could hear our support. You could hear our support.
Yes, Mr. Waring with his drum, indeed. Yeah, they're back in action Wednesday night. By the way, if you are looking for something to fill your midweek, Colchester host the League Cup game against Leicester, WSL side Leicester. So do get down. It's a 7:30 kickoff, so a bit earlier than normal. But yeah, do get down and support the girls there.
Same division,
full strength team.
I don't. Let me. Which order they said it? So Leicester at WSL, so top flight. And I would imagine, Joe, we might see a bit of rotation, Laura Hartley in goal, that kind of stuff. And I think there's some walking wounded who played today that might not feature. So you'll see probably the likes of Ruby Seaby. I don't think it's a competition that will take that seriously, but good to get some minutes into people, and maybe some players coming back from injury too. So yeah, maybe a bit of rotation, but nevertheless, an important fixture and a good test, good side Leicester. So I'll be interested to see what they do.
I guess the girls aren't used to sort of 3-game weeks either, are they?
No, that's a great point.
It's very, very rare, isn't it, to have it?
As well.
And with a shorter fixture list, I think you just do everything you can to make sure you're in good shape for next weekend.
Indeed, yeah. Big games coming up, Portsmouth and Sheffield United too. So those are the ones that could define the rest of the season. Maybe not, but if they're positive, they do. So that I'm sticking with that.
If you win both of them, you're probably staying up.
You're at 7 points.
It's almost enough points, isn't it? Yeah,
exactly right. Let's talk about what happened elsewhere in the Championship, guys. There's Joe. Let's get Joe back. I'll go through them very quickly, and then you can shout out. Borough started the season really well. I think that's the highest points haul they've ever started a season with after this amount of games. So Borough looking good. Birmingham left it late to get the points against Swansea. The M69 derby between Leicester and Coventry ended up goalless. QPR getting a good win over Stoke. I've put postponed. Blackburn Ipswich could be abandoned. I'm not sure what the terminology is. Derby, Preston. Was that 0-1? It was a good goal in that one. I think it was to win it too, wasn't it? Southampton. There's a run of games here of managers who have got big question marks over them. Will Still struggling since that opening day against Wrexham, where they won, but Hull beating them convincingly. Talking to teams struggling to break down Wrexham, Norwich, Liam Manning not won a game at home yet, and the natives are getting restless about that one. 2-3, but I think it was a late goal to make that scoreline look a bit closer. Fair play to Henrik Pedersen, got a win for Sheffield Wednesday away at Portsmouth, and Chris Wilde has returned to Sheffield United. Same old late goal conceded against Charlton there. Bristol City lost to 3-1 to Oxford today. Some really crazy results, aren't there, this weekend? And then Millwall face Watford tomorrow night. Anything you want to draw attention to there, Dave?
Oh, just a proper crazy Championship set of results, really, when you look at it. I mean, Portsmouth are doing reasonably well. I saw them play against Southampton the week before and look quite good, but Sheffield Wednesday, you wouldn't have really pegged that one. Today, Bristol City getting turned. Bristol City going really well, getting turned over. I think Oxford's first win of the season. Where did that come from? Just results all over. And obviously, yeah, Southampton were 3-0 down. I don't think they only scored quite a good goal, actually. Armstrong scored quite late. They were 3-0 down. So, yeah, some real issues there. But I watched a fair bit of the Middlesbrough West Brom game Friday evening, and distinct lack of quality in that game as well, really. So it's just a case of us just getting this run together. Yesterday obviously got away with it. Hopefully it starts Saturday, and hopefully it then continues the Saturday after, weekend after. And we just need to get on that run, because I haven't really seen anything in the division this year to frighten us at all, really. Not really.
He's not left you much, Joe. What do you want to
Sorry,
talk?
Joe.
Yeah, well, I guess it's sort of to build on that point as well. When you look at the league table, you've obviously got Middlesbrough flying at the top of the league, 16 points from 6, but second in the table is 12 points from 6, third is 11 points from 6, and we're 6 points from 5 now. So effectively, you win your game in hand, and you're 2 points off third from where we are now. So despite the slow start to the season that we've had, no one's other than Middlesbrough has done anything to pull away. You'd normally expect, for the start of the season, 2 or 3 teams to be right out there. Like you look at sort of League One and stuff like that, and there's Cardiff had won like 6 on the bounce and things like that, and you just think, oh, this season is there to be taken. It's going to be quite an open division, but like I say, you look down there, like Bradford got 20 from 9, Stevenage 19 from 8. So you got a couple of teams pulling away in that league, where you just don't have that in it. You just don't have that so far in the Championship. It's Middlesbrough, then no one really, isn't it? So we just got to put the sort of run that we're capable together off, and we should soon pull away from the pack.
The maths is right. We're like 6 points off it, are we? Did you say
6 points off second with the game in hand.
There you go. You're telling me there's a chance, Joe. You're telling me there's a chance. Get your questions in, folks. We'll finish with questions to Dave and to Joe. Anything we haven't yet asked about abandonments or postponements, so get something in about that, because I'm sure Dave's got a few classics that we can talk through there. Firstly, I do need to say some thank yous. Thank you to David Bergen. Great to see you with us in the live chat as always. Thank you for the super chat. He's not only done a super chat, guys, but also gifted a membership to Top Tier as well. You can now do both of those things. So thank you, David, for supporting the podcast and for giving someone the benefit of a month's free Top Tier. Hope you enjoy it and stick around. If you want to do likewise, there's a dollar button in the super chat area. and you can do likewise. But thank you, David, as always, for that. In terms of questions, what have we got? Universe doesn't care. Johnson didn't make the bench. Is he now fourth choice right back when Harry's fit? Worth noting that Harry Clark was is it the 19th man who's doing some pretty hefty sprinting yesterday. Joe, give us your thoughts on. We would mention it at the start, but yeah, where I think the thought was it Dave? You said left back cover now.
Yeah, but I think Ashley Young is probably left back cover as well, isn't he? He's played a hell of a lot of football in his career at left back. I say Ben Johnson, and I sort of said it almost from the first couple of weeks of the season last year. He just doesn't fit with how we want to play, and he not stumbled into it, but played that right wing back role last season when sort of like Bene was out, and then longer term later in the season Burns was out, and he did that well. But we don't need a profile of that player to be our right winger in the Championship. So he's really just a spare man. Yeah, he's nice and versatile, but he's fallen into, I think, exactly the same position he was in at West Ham, where he was just a body, effectively, that could come in and play your Europa Conference League games, your cup games, and keep it fit and train with you. But at that point, he was probably getting paid 20 grand a week less than everyone else in the squad because he was just a cheap academy player to kick around. He's come here as a big signing on a long contract on good money, and he's still in the same role. So I'd imagine he's really, really disappointed with how it's gone. But I don't see it changing. I think if we can get anything for him, if somebody would take on his contract effectively, I think you'd probably let them do it at this stage.
And what about Harry Clark, Joe?
I think he's a better fit for the system that we play, and if he is there, but I think that I think it would be Young and Furlong ahead of him. Yep. So you're only talking like a cup game if you want to rest both fullbacks. If you want to rest Davis and Furlong, if he's the first choice, you might play Young at left back and Clark at right back. But yeah, who knows at the moment? But yeah, it doesn't seem very good for Ben Johnson.
And to Colin's question or point here, Dave, he asked, do you agree that we need to get minutes into Gelly and Nunes? Yeah. It's like, how are you going to do that? And are you worried going into the kind of Saturday kind of run that there are some peripheral players that will need to feature? And, you ideally bring those two on Saturday.
You do. I mean, for me,
could you?
I mean, how could you bring those two on yesterday? Nunes would just get, we saw it how he likes to play. We saw that brief cameo against Sheffield United. Loves to get the ball down, drop his shoulder, play. But you couldn't yesterday, and it wouldn't have been fair for Egerle to come on either yesterday. Not fair at all. So I was quite pleased actually when the subs were made, and they didn't. It'd been easy to bring them on, but they didn't. They just got lost in that. So yeah, you would expect them again if on a similar situation. Fingers crossed if we're on Saturday against Portsmouth, if we are up, maybe 2 up or whatever, you would expect again Nunes and Egerle to get some minutes. Then I'd fully expect them to at some point. It's just a shame. I mean, the league, the game against Bromley and stuff. It's just a shame that we didn't just get more out of that and got another couple of games in the Carabao Cup. It all helps. It all helps the squad, but it is what it is, and we've got to get on with it till FA Cup comes around.
And this one from Charlie on a kind of similar theme. He asks, will we see Sindre soon? I guess I'd flip that a little bit, Dave, and I'm not putting words in Charlie's mouth. I'm repurposing the question for my own needs. I thought McAteer had a difficult game, good moments here and there, but longer term, we've got Burns hopefully coming back at some point, who we missed. But that right-hand side, do you think, to Charlie's question, that we might see Gelly start?
Possibly. McAteer is an odd one because for me, what I've seen so far, he's not one thing or the other kind of
final ball, isn't it?
Yeah, the final ball. A great ball, to be fair, great awareness and a great ball for. I didn't see that ball yesterday. Didn't see that coming. But when he picked out Philogene, absolute class ball, probably ball of the game actually. But I just haven't really seen him. Again, he's a player that perhaps needs from that wide position, needs a goal, needs a bit of goal, bit of confidence booster, and off he goes. But I can see why he's been bought. He's been for the physicality. He's obviously a player there. Of course, he's a good player there. But I think for his physicality, his athleticism, and he is, as Joe said before, he's a really good presser, which does fit the system really well. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. You would think if Egerle does get a start, it will be at the expense of at some point. It'll be the expense of McAteer.
Joe, a question on Kayusta from Rob. He doesn't feel Kayusta the answer against teams playing the low block. Do you think in those games we needed Nunes in the team to bit of guile to break the lines and set pieces? I thought Kayusta was all right on Saturday.
Yeah, I thought he struggled a little bit, but I think that was mainly down to conditions. He gave the ball away sort of 3 or 4 times in quite dangerous situations. But I think in normal games, he breaks the lines probably better than anyone with the ball. He sort of carries the ball and breaks the lines so well with that. So I don't think it's a case of sort of Núñez will play against a low block, who will play when teams come out a little bit more against us, because they have to come out at some point and there will be things to do. I guess it's just the thing that Kajusny started to do his game, which we didn't really see last year, mainly because we were generally under the cosh, is when he does break the line and takes people out of the game, what he does with that final ball. Does he pick someone out? Does he get a good shot off? Does he do this? Because I think that's still an area of his game that as Ipswich fans we're yet to see.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, we can speculate. Maybe this is one for you guys next week to speculate your lineups for the trio of matches that we've got coming up, culminating in the East Anglian Derby. And we very quickly, just a quick poll here. Núñez has to start against Norwich, doesn't he? They were talking about in the pre-match. Núñez has to start against Norwich, doesn't he?
Oh my word! I mean, the game's going to be fierce and feral as it is enough. My God, if he starts, it will just be white hot, won't it? It will be amazing if he starts. We shall see. Just quickly from me, it's who I thought did struggle, and I thought largely anonymous yesterday, was Akpom. Yesterday, really just didn't see the ball at all, did he? Felt for him a bit. I guess I just don't see him play. He just didn't look comfortable, I don't think, yesterday. He did some good work defensively again, I thought, but again, just really didn't. We get with the side, just really didn't get into the game at all, did he?
Well, let me pose this question from Michael to you then. How long before Smodic scores a goal? Worth noting, the Blackburn fans very generous with their welcome back to Smodic, which is always good to see. And obviously, he basically kept them up, didn't he? Single-handedly. Had an amazing season, did he, before he joined us? What's your... Yeah, how do you interpret that, Dave? Help me out.
It's another forward player. It's another forward player that needs a goal. All right, he's not starting games, though, is he? But a forward players, goals, confidence. That's what they thrive on. Forward play, especially someone like Smodic scored 29 goals 2 seasons ago. Just needs goals, performances, and confidence. Confidence just goes with that. But it's a difficult one because we've got an abundance of that type of player at the moment.
Yeah, interesting that he took up a right-sided position yesterday as well, by the way. But
I think the red card did change things there, didn't it? Because
I know it did.
Obviously Akpom came off to replace by Kipre, which meant that you either get Smodic on or Agele, and I think Smodic was a better bet. Definitely. Ewood Park in those conditions as well.
Fair point. Yeah. Andy asks were the women's team able to field a full bench? Now, it's only 5 out of 9, Andy, because of injuries, so I can deal with that one. This one from Phil, Joe. Is our away form a concern in the long term? I guess, again, I'm going to slightly change the question. Apologies, Philip. We seem to make more mistakes, or we don't get away with mistakes as much as we do at home when we're away. There's been a few now, isn't there? Especially the centre-back pairing. What's your take on our away form?
Well, it's only really 2 games now, isn't it? Because yesterday, I guess it depends what side of the coin you're on, if you're positive or negative, if your glass is half full or half empty. But I think you can almost write yesterday's game off. It was just one of those. The conditions were so bad. There were issues, there were good things, there were bad things. But really, we've only sort of played Birmingham, which was such a tough away game in those conditions.
It's a bit of a freak game as well, isn't it, Joe?
There, and we came away from that with a good point. And then Preston, that was a bad game, gave away a bad goal, and then huffed and puffed after that. But I thought we did a lot more yesterday. Like, I think to compare Preston's game and yesterday's game, it was night and day. Some of the moves we were able to put together against much more difficult conditions. I thought we were able to create a lot more. Even when we were 1-0 down with 10 men, we were still the team creating the better chances. It was still Jack Clark and Leif Davis dancing through their team, putting balls across, and not quite able to find the final touch, where generally with 10 men away from home, 1-0 down, they can normally just kill the game, and they weren't able to against us.
Well, I don't think we even had a shot against Preston, did we? Virtually.
On target,
not on target.
Yeah, we had a lot of sort of half chances, but nothing of any substance.
Question from Norman here, Dave. Other teams seem to gel quicker than us. I guess maybe you need to test that hypothesis. Nevertheless, given the quality of the players that are at McKenna's disposal, patterns of play more complicated to embed, perhaps? Is he...
I think so, and I don't think that is the case. Given the turnover of players, I'm not sure there is that other teams seem to gel quick. I'm not totally sure that's correct, but it does take time, and there are signs. Definitely, you mentioned yesterday Davis, who I thought had his best game of the season yesterday in playing in that slightly more different inverted role. Certainly, so there's signs of it happening, just signs. And for a time in the second half, obviously against quite weak opposition, Sheffield United, we really did put it together. So yeah, let's. I think Portsmouth again. Portsmouth's a good old championship game on a Saturday afternoon. Let's see where we are after that. I think perhaps again we always say each game comes along. Well, we'll know more after that game. This game. Well, look, Portsmouth at home. They're off the back of a really bad result against Sheffield Wednesday yesterday. It's a game we should win. Game which we expected to win. And yeah, you'd hope that things develop. There's signs of further development against them really, and a win hopefully.
There you go. Still early days, and that's. I think I will end it there. Thank you, everyone who asked a question, everyone being involved in the live chat tonight. We've gone the full duration. We've not had to leave early. We've not had to postpone anything. So, all job done here in terms of me subbing in for Ben as host. But normal service resumes with Ben next week. Usual run of shows on Top Tier, and the usual stuff that you can access all the time. And yeah, it's getting excited. The run of games coming up. There's some good stuff to come. So will we remember the 21st night of September when we chased the clouds away? Hopefully so. But we'll be back during the week. Do get involved on Telegram. Do come and see us at a live event. But final word from you, Joe?
I guess we could just all leave the camera running and walk off and come back in 20 minutes time and say, yeah, actually it has finished now. Don't worry about it.
Yep.
See how many people remain.
Yes, let's see how loyal everyone is. Dave, final word from you.
No, I just love comments. Colin's comments where he said there's 123 points to play for. Bring it on. Come on.
There's the call. That's the kind of the salute that we need to get us off to the week. Thank you, Colin. The call to arms. Enjoy your week. Stay safe, everyone. And we'll see you soon here on Blue Monday.